So we just got a couple new announcements regarding Danganronpa 2x2 at Anime Expo. And I was waiting for the release date to be announced to make this video, but since it's probably never gonna come by the rate we're going at. So I've got some 2x2 theories here. They range from ice cold to burning hot fire. And I'll be ranking all of them on the tier list based on how likely I think it is that they're gonna come true. So starting with our mildest take by far, I think we can assume that they won't be following the formula that they established in the past games. Maybe not a double murder in chapter 3, maybe even like a triple murder in another chapter, or something like everyone dies. But what really makes me think that this is going to happen is Nekomaru specifically. Because as we all know, the big buff, big character always dies in chapter 4. But like, we're already remaking the same game with the same characters in the same setting. Can you really kill the same character at the same chapter? Even if you do it in a quirky, cool, different way like they did with Gonta and V3, I think that would be underwhelming to the audience. From a storytelling perspective, it would be kind of boring because everyone would be expecting it already. I'll just go ahead and put it here because I think of all these sakes, this is the most likely to happen. The second prediction we have is Teru survives longer. As we all know, like Teru Hanamura is a character whose legacy consists of sexual harassment, and immense amounts of innuendo, and famously dying chapter 1 after killing the imposter. I know like most of us would love to see him die early on again, but I really don't think that's gonna happen. As annoying as he is, Teru has a lot of room for character development and growth, and we know like up in Spike Chunsoft's headquarters, they love these stupid, dumb joke characters. So I could even see him making it alive in place of someone like Akane or Kazuichi, for example. But as far as Teru survives longer, I do think it's pretty confirmed that that's going to happen. They wouldn't kill him again in chapter 1, I think. Then we have Imposter dresses up as someone else. Okay, so the Imposter, if you don't know, also called Chugami, is the first one to go in the second game after being killed by that loser over there. As far as this new game mode goes, I'm expecting to see some new iterations of the already known characters. We'll get to that later. Or at least a couple design changes as we've seen with Nagito's shirt and Hyoko's alleged bear pen. Assuming that's just not a mistake by the artist. And I would love to see Imposter impersonating someone else, since his personality isn't inherently attached to being Byakuya specifically, as we've seen in the anime. So I think they could make that switch. Like imagine us getting Chukoto or even, I don't know, Chulestia Ludenberg. The possibilities are quite literally endless. I would love to see them do this. Do I think they're gonna do it? Probably not, because that would change the whole character. But it would be cool if they did. I'm gonna put this at 50-50, just because I really want it to happen. I really want to see Chulestia Ludenberg. Then we have Imposter and Ibuki have a relationship. So Imposter and Ibuki have some really cute interactions during chapter 1 of the original game. They seem to get along quite well. They have like a bantering that constantly goes on. And if we get them both to stay in the game a little longer, I could see them maybe forming a relationship that would not only be cool to see, but also in case one of them ends up dying, it could be really easy character development fuel for the other one. So it's a win-win situation. Like there's nothing to lose by doing this, and there's a lot of character development to be gotten. I don't know. So I'm very confident in this one. I'm gonna put it at Kodaka confirmed it. Up next, we got Hyoko survives. I've made a video in the past about how I think Hyoko and Fuyuhiko have pretty much the same lore, but one dies and another one gets to develop. I think it's a no-brainer to let Hyoko live longer, especially considering the interactions she could have with other characters like Teru, for example. Do I think it's gonna happen? Maybe yes, but we can't be sure. And even because she is so similar to Fuyuhiko, it could be a reason for that to not happen because we already got Fuyuhiko as a survivor. So I'm gonna put it at I can see it happening. Sonia as Blackened. So Sonia is like a crazy, deranged psychopath, a sociopath, ruler, dictator, princess girl who has a pretty morbid sense of humor, a lot of weird interests. Sonia as a killer is something that is talked about since the game's first release. I think this one is similar to Hyoko. Like I could see it happening. It would be cool if it did. It would be a lot of fan service, but there's no like actual reason for it to happen. You know, we can't really confirm that it's gonna happen. I feel like predicting killers and victims is pretty abstract, so I tried not to focus on that too much. I think it has a lot of room for cool executions, nice visuals, you know, maybe a fun crash out. It would be fun to see Sonia crashing out. It would. Okay, now we start to dive deeper into the hotness. You know, it's getting a little hot, or like steamy. So at first we have, there's multiple routes in 2x2. Slayhem. Let's use the new name, Slayhem. So Spike Chunsoft, which is Danganronpa's publisher, has a lot of other games where multiple timelines and routes are present. That means depending on what choices you make, the game can can progress and even end differently, which is a concept that we don't have at all in any Danganronpa game. I feel like this would open up a lot of doors to potential storylines. It would also justify how long this game is going to be, because apparently we're getting 20% more content. That amounts to around 55 to 60 hours of gameplay raw. It would be nice, but are they going to do that much for us? Would they do that much for us? Are they willing to do that? Because in the past they haven't. I think it's safe to say that it probably won't happen, as cool as it would be if it did. The next prediction takes a bit from the last one. It is that we are going to play as a blackened. That would be something completely new in Danganronpa, and I do think it becomes more plausible if we consider that many different routes will be available. Probably wouldn't happen if there was a single route, because like what do you do after you kill a person? Because the game's gonna end after that. You either die or everyone else dies. But if we have multiple routes, it could be a cool side route. Could lead to a secret bad ending that you could take. I think it would be really interesting to play the trial as a blackened. How would we use the truth bullet? Would all of them be lie bullets like in V3? Would we be consenting to things that are clearly lies so that we try to steer the trial in another direction? Like I have no idea how that would work. So do I think this is going to happen? Not at all. No, I don't think that's going to happen. So I'm putting it at copium. I do think it has a lot of potential, but it changes so many structural bases of the game that I really don't think they would go through all the trouble of making this real. Now we have one of my favorites. So this one's regarding the many ideas they could steal from Danganronpa Another. So if you don't know, Danganronpa Another is a fan game made by Korean fan game maker Lee Nuge. It has amazing writing, amazing character, amazing visuals, and it's pretty much the only fan game that has ever been completed, not only once but twice. So those are some of the reasons why it's very highly regarded by the community. They introduce a lot of new concepts to Danganronpa. I think most famously the Otonokoji twins. They are the killers, multiple of them, of chapter 3 in Danganronpa Another 2. They stab their victim at the same time, and that makes them both the blackened, which leads to a really, really long and very interesting trial. The first Danganronpa Another released before V3, and while playing that game, I noticed a lot of similarities, and I'm not saying they stole the ideas from Lee Nuge, but I wouldn't be surprised if they at least knew of this game's existence. Like there's literally no way they don't know this exists, and I wouldn't be surprised if some of them even played it, or at least know the story. So I do think that even if not on purpose, we're gonna get at least one or two similarities to it. So I'm gonna put it at I can see it happening. And then we get to extreme hotness territory, you know, like very hot, extremely hot, burning fire. Think like Gonti Gokuhara, Miuruma, Gundam Tanaka. So at first we have Chiaki dies first, and I'm pretty certain that's gonna happen. Just bear with me. There's no reason for Chiaki to survive past chapter 1. Her whole character is that she's an AI. You know, she's an AI that's planted in the game to keep everyone together. She's supposed to represent hope and yada yada yada, but her character fundamentally doesn't work if you already know what her role in the story is. As much as I love Chiaki, she is a gag. And what makes her interesting is the plot twist of, whoa, this girl's the traitor, and the development that she could have gotten they gave to her on the anime by retconning the story and making her be alive before the incident. I really see no way of developing Chiaki's character further, which is why I think she's going to die first. Maybe chapter 1, maybe even the epilogue. So I'm going to go ahead and put it at Kodaka confirmed it. I think she's gonna die. I'm sorry. I think she will die. This is kind of the same way I feel about Nagito. These two are just such big statements that you can't ignore them, like how you could with, let's say, Sonia or like Fuyuhiko, because they could survive longer but simply not be as important to the story anymore. But Chiaki and Nagito, you can't do that with them because they're so inherently tied into the story. Okay, now we get to my mad pet moment. In Slayhim mode, we are going to play with the remnants of despair. Not just regular Hyoko, regular Sonia, not even regular Teru Teru, which is bad as it is, but evil Hyoko, evil Sonia, evil Teru Teru. I see a lot of people talking about who's gonna kill who in what chapter. That alone doesn't justify making a whole new story mode, let's put it like that, because it's still the same setting, the same characters, the same lore, the same villain, you know, everything's still the same. There has to be a fundamental change to the lore early on for the game to flow smoothly. How can you engage a viewer with the same characters and the same setting? Like, that's not interesting at all because we know the plot twist. On the image that we got, we have a warning saying that to play Slayhim mode, it is highly recommended that you've played the original Danganronpa 2 before. So we can assume that by the start of Slayhim mode, we will be introduced, or rather brought back to concepts that are introduced much later on the original story. One of them being, of course, the remnants Remnants of Despair. 2x2 is not simply a what-if universe. They know that most of, if not pretty much all the people that are buying the game are people that have already played the second game, so they have to build upon that. They have to make the game interesting and engaging for people that already know the story. And I think an interesting way to do that also ties in with a lot of fan service for the returning fans, is by making them Remnants of Despair, because now you have the same characters, but they're not technically the same characters because there's so much more you can explore with these new versions of them. One of the main things in my head about 2x2 was how they were gonna deal with the free time events, because technically we know all of these characters' lores already, and if the game's gonna have new content, you're like, there's probably gonna be new free time events. But how do you make more free time events for a character whose lore has already been explored in the first version of the game? Like, I know Mikan was bullied, I know people cut her hair, I know she has a lot of scars, that's why she wears bandages. So if we're getting like 5 new free time events for Mikan, what do you put there? Like, do you just say the same but with different stories? Like, that's dumb, that's underwhelming, no one's gonna like that. So how do you fix that problem? By giving them more stories to tell, because now if they are evil, first of all, the whole plot changes, because everyone actually kind of wants to be in the game now. Everyone kind of wants to kill each other because they're all crazy sociopath evil Junkos. And now you have new free time events because they can talk about their war crimes now. They could talk about how they shot up an orphanage or I don't know, like committed tax fraud or something. I do think that this is a lot to ask. I would find it very interesting having a cast pretty much made of only evil people. But I could see how some people wouldn't enjoy that. I do think it would bring down the atmosphere of the game, because now we're dealing with 16 war criminals from the get-go. And since Chiaki is dying first, you can kind of use that to introduce this concept. They can figure something out. Like, I don't know, they deleted the code of hope, and now they're all back to their original memories, and they're all evil. It would be amazing if they did this. I have no faith in it, though. I don't think they're gonna do it. But that's just a very cool idea that I had. I think it's very cool. I am going to put it on Copium, though. And at last, we have the game is taken outside. This is another micro-analysis moment. I think it could tie in with that Hajime Nagito boat picture. Looking at the Slayhem menu, I also think that the little plague kind of looks like a post-apocalyptic setting, not only because of the blood, but also because of the material behind it. Another interesting thing is that it has like little Monokuma years, whereas the original game has Monomi years. So we should be expecting despair, ultimate despair from Slayhem. So I do think it would be interesting to see them doing some things outside of the island. Do I think it will happen though? Probably not. It could deal with the problem of the setting being the same, so the lore is substantially changed. It also makes them all Remnants of Despair, so that addresses the free time events. I don't know where they would go from there though. I think there's a lot of holes in this theory. I do think it could be a cool little extra scene at the end though. I think the probability of this happening at one point or the other is higher than we playing the game as Remnants of Despair. So that's pretty much it. This is our tier list. If you have any other cool theories, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'll definitely take a read of that. But yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.